Hey guys, my name is Dr. Leslie Rogers, psychologist and host of Mental Health Talk. Today I'd like to come to you and talk to you a little bit about grief, the process of grief. Many of my close friends have lost loved ones, and many of you may have lost loved ones as of recent as well. And I wanted to come to you today and talk about the process of grief and then give you some resources to help you walk through that process. Today I'll be talking about the 5 stages of grief offered by Kubler and Ross grief cycle. The first stage is denial, avoidance, confusion, elation, shock, and fever. Many of us are in denial when we lose a loved one. I remember when my best friend died, I used to call her phone several times in hopes that she would answer the phone or even just to hear her voice. So denial, is this really happening? Is she really gone? The disbelief of the event. The next stage, anger. Anger, many of us feel several different emotions. Anger is one often felt. Anger, frustration, irritation, even anxiety. A lot of us become anxious during a death of a loved one. The next stage, bargaining. Bargaining, struggling to find meaning, reaching out to others, telling one story, bargaining. The next stage is depression, feeling overwhelmed, hopelessness, hostility, flight. Have you ever felt depressed? Many of you have already gone through some of these stages, and many of you may have already have felt denial, anger, bargaining, and depression. Feeling like you just want to crawl up in a ball and just lay in your bed all day, all night. The next stage is acceptance. According to Kubler and Ross, once you pass through these series of stages, denial, anger, bargaining, and depression, then the final stage is acceptance. Exploring options, new plan in place, moving on, being able to move on, being able to come to terms with the death of your loved one, right? So again, these stages that Kubler and Ross are saying that people usually pass through during the death of a loved one is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And this doesn't mean that you have to go through each one successively. You can go back and forth through. Oftentimes, let me tell you, during the death of a loved one, you often toggle back and forth. You could go through denial and anger and bargaining and depression, and then you can go right back to being angry before you reach acceptance. Also, I'd like to talk to you about support systems, resources during these times that can possibly help you through this process. One, of course, is family and friends, a support system of family and friends, which are really important during this process. And let me tell you, I do understand that during a loss, we often want to kind of climb up and push people away. And that's okay. If you need time to yourself during a loss, take the time to yourself. Go in your room alone and be by yourself. But for a brief time, not for a long time, just for a brief time. And then slowly integrate yourself back into family and friends. Allow your family and friends to be the comforting support that you need during this time. Another resource is support groups. Grief support groups. These groups allow you to not only share your stories, but hear stories of others without judgment, right? Support groups are other awesome ways to help you through these processes of grieving. Lastly, I want to talk about you. Thinking about ways that you can help yourself through this process as well. Identifying statements that you can use to yourself to help you through this process, comforting statements. For instance, me, Leslie, it's okay to grieve. It's okay. Leslie, my girlfriend name is Karen. Karen is at a better place now. She's no longer struggling. Leslie, Karen lived a long life. She lived a wonderful life. These are ways that I had to use self-talk to help me get through this process because the pain of grief is real. Thinking about ways that you can help push yourself, motivate yourself to achieve acceptance and recovery. Again, I thought that this would be a perfect time to talk about this because a lot of you are grieving. A lot of you have lost loved ones most recently. And it's a hard, hard time. But just know that you will bounce back and you will move forward and you will get through this. Again, my name is Dr. Leslie Rogers, psychologist, and I wish you well.